No worries, I'm not gonna jinx it. This time no champagne, just plain talk about why Huami finally went up today. A little breakout here. Is it sustainable or not? What could be the reason behind it? Quick video on that. So the moment we've all been waiting for is here. Finally a big green candle for Huami here, breaking out through this resistance of around $15.30. So that was usually where the stock actually retraced and went back down. But this time we broke and go up higher. But in the past, these spikes have not been really sustainable, right? So we see those spikes all over the place and quick sell-offs followed by that. But now a little bit of a longer and not so steep run up. So the question is whether or not this could be sustainable this time and what's actually the reason behind it. So first off, if you are new to Huami, I recommend that you catch up and do a little bit of a research and actually watch maybe some of my old videos on my investment thesis about Huami. And also, of course, do your own due diligence because, as always, this is not investment advice. I only share my personal views. And my personal views are, frankly, that Huami is quite undervalued. And I personally also mentioned that I have the price target of around $60 per share, until which I think Huami is actually undervalued. And recently we had quite a bit of news regarding Huami, lots of acquisitions actually. So here I summarized them. Huami invested in Yitong High-Tech Technologies, in Aspen Imaging, in Promaxo, in Hyperfine, and also in a company, a chip maker called Huawei Micro Nano Sensing Technology. And in my last video I also talked about that Huami now brought on the CFO and managing director of Baidu Venture Capital as one of the board directors on this new acquisition on Yitong High-Tech. All of this actually happened throughout the last couple of days, so this is actually not the news why today Huami broke out. Also, the announced investment in Hyperfine cannot be the reason for that, because that actually also happened already 2 days ago now. Another reason that is possible is maybe a run into earnings. So here we see the earnings date marked with this E here. So we always see a run up into earnings usually. But this time, as far as I've checked the news, there is no earning date yet. So that would be a little bit premature and doesn't really explain yet why Huami should break out now and run up. Another reason how this could possibly be explained is a change in institutional ownerships, and we see some new filings, for instance, Goldman Sachs, Wells Fargo, but I couldn't verify a new ownership change in those kind of institutions, so this all looks pretty normal to me here. Might be that there is an institution loading up currently, but in my point of view, the most likely explanation is actually, and that sounds a little bit boring, but just a technical trend break of this resistance level, maybe driven by algorithms that and institutions that maybe have to cover some calls or institutional buying of shares for the underlying calls and stuff like that. So that might be the actual explanation why Huami is trending right now, despite any facts or news that just have broken today. The biggest news regarding Huami that I saw is still the rumors around what's going to happen with Yitong, and we also need to know that this acquisition, the 30% ownership stake in this company, also results in the fact that in the last couple of days the stock price of this listed company that Huami now has ownership has actually also significantly increased. So this may actually also drive the valuation or the piece of this pie that Huami is owning and the value of that, and may actually have to be reflected also in the Huami share price, which is interesting to see. And in addition to that, I also noticed today something when I tried to find out what's the reason behind it. Well, that actually Huami has this interesting offering on their website. It's only on the Chinese website, so far I haven't monitored that one closely, to be honest. But basically, it's kind of a scheme where you can buy a membership. It's priced from 299 RMB, yes, to 3,999 RMB. So entry level to premium membership. And you get, and I need to get this stuff translated for you guys in the next session, but actually what this is essentially are added services to the smartwatch on top. So you can get, for instance, a health checkup. You can get connected to a remote doctor. The packages includes analysis of the ECG and even genomic sequencing and services related to that, as well as health reports, emergency services, and online consultations. So first thought, this was just released today, but one of our members here in the community found out that this has actually been on the website since a couple of weeks. So not really news, but in my point of view, these are the services that I want to see Huami actually executing on and roll out over their network and over their user base of people wearing the smartwatches, maybe first in China. And now, as we have learned in the last fireside chat, also being able to actually offer an insurance based on that. So yeah, data analytics based on the consumer devices, and now also the venturing into industrial medical devices, hardware and services connected to that. But is Huami now still a buy, or what could happen to the stock? Well, first of all, although the breakout is really significant, as we can see from the size of the candle, but if you compare it to previous spikes, it could obviously go back really fast. But for me, it doesn't really matter so much whether or not Huami is trading at $9 a share, at 11 or at 17 now. I think anything under $60 a share is actually a good, decent value for this company compared to how it's valued in comparison to other companies in the area, and also the huge potential in the outlook of Huami. So with any investments, I usually just do dollar cost averaging. I've been doing that since a couple of months and weeks already with Huami. So I'm now sitting at a really large position here with Huami, to be also to disclose that. But at the same time, obviously, I don't mind so much to buying into the highs and also into the lows, as long as I can build this position. Because ultimately, the problems with Huami are still there. We don't have lots of exposure with investors. Not many know about it. There's not much of buzz and talk about Huami. And also the fundamentals of those three pillars are not yet materialized into the financials of the stock. But what I'm trying to do usually is to time my investments that I, actually get into those investments before those kind of revenues actually materialize, because then it's usually too late to pick up those companies on the really cheap. But that also obviously involves some risk. So for me, the next things to watch are obviously the earnings call, see what actually fundamentals that Huami can provide in terms of the last quarter, but also the outlook. And then I'm eyeing at the market capitalization beyond $1 billion and also more trading volume. I think then this stock can really rise fundamentally, and watch my videos where I think this potential could go into the future. So I hope you enjoyed this quick update. Let me know what you think down in the comments below, and see you in the next one.